Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, children. A very good morning to all of you. Hope you went through yesterday's concepts of behavior of conductors in an electric field. Now, today we are going to enter into the topic of capacitor. But before we go on to that, I need to make you understand certain topics related to that. So, to start with, let us start with the phenomenon of what is called as an electrostatic induction. Now, electrostatic induction is the method of generating static electricity in a material by bringing an electrically charged object near it. Now, this charged object, it creates or it causes electric charges to be redistributed in the material. So this phenomenon is nothing but you call it as electrostatic induction. That is method of generating static electricity in a material. Okay. So let us move in detail about this to understand the phenomenon of electrostatic induction. Now we have already learned in first chapter, whenever an object, you can charge an object by rubbing it using an appropriate material, right? Now when you bring a charged rod, now as far as the diagram is concerned here, I'm going to bring a charged rod, okay, near a conductor. What happens? So how do the conductor behaves when you bring a charged rod near it? We are going to study this, right? Now, so this type of charging, actually here look at this picture. The conductor and the charged rod does not touch each other. They do not touch each other without touching. So this type of charging without actual contact of bodies is nothing but you call it as electrostatic induction. So let us consider a conductor. Now the first diagram is an uncharged conducting sphere. Uncharged conducting sphere in the sense the charges are neutral in that sphere. First diagram. Suppose if you have 10 electrons, you have 10 protons, means the charges are neutral. Okay. So it is a neutral sphere. Definitely it is a conducting sphere. Now I have kept the sphere on an insulating stand. Okay, so that is the first diagram. Now what I am going to do is, I am going to bring a negatively charged rod. Now this is a charged rod. I have rubbed this rod with some material so that it has acquired negative charge. So I bring that negatively charged rod near the conductor. I have brought it near, but I have not touched it. Okay, the conductor is very near to the sphere. The rod is very near to the sphere. So now what happens? Now as soon as as I bring the negative charge, negative rod near the sphere, what happens now? As I said earlier, in the sphere, which is a conductor, the charges are neutral. But when I bring this negative charge, what happens? The negative charge of the rod, it repels the electrons. Now you have positive and negative charges here. Now when I bring a negative charge rod, what happens here? All the negatively charged electrons, they get repelled and they move to the farther end of the sphere. Now this is the farther end, this is the near end with respect to this rod. Okay, so all the negative charges, which are nothing but electrons, they start repelling away from this rod and they start moving to the farther end. So all the electrons are accumulated in the farther end, F-A-R-T-H-E-R, farther end of the sphere, right? So next what happens? What about the positive charges here? The positive charges, they get attracted, they are induced in the region of the charged rod. They are in the nearer region. Now this is the nearer region, this is the farther region. So all the positive charges, they get accumulated here. This is the second diagram. Okay. Now what is the third diagram? In the third diagram, the sphere is connected to the ground. Now I have done grounding here. See here, I have connected to the ground. So when I connect to the ground, what happens? All the electrons, they reach the ground, and since the positive charges cannot flow, all the negative charges will flow to the ground, and which alone will be remaining? The positive charges alone are remaining in the sphere. All the negative charges are grounded. Okay, so this is the third diagram. Now, what is the fourth diagram? Fourth diagram, what can I do is, when I remove the grounding, I have removed the grounding. Okay. Now what happens? The positive charges will remain in their position, in the same position. There is no change. When I remove this grounding part, now the positive charges will remain alone, will remain in their respective positions. And finally, when I remove the charge rod, what happens? As soon as I remove the charge rod, which is negatively charged, all the positive charges gets uniformly distributed on the surface of the conductor. Now see here, the conductor is completely positively charged. Look at the situation of the conductor here. It is neutral. All the positive and negative charges are together and it was neutral. But here what I have done now, at last, I have charged this as a positively charged conductor by bringing a, what did I do here? By bringing a negatively charged rod. I can make this positively charged or also negatively charged, but here I have made the entire sphere to be positive charge. I have distributed all the positive charges around the conductor. So this type of, this process is nothing but you call it as electrostatic induction. Okay, charging without actual contact. I have not made the negatively charged rod to go and touch the sphere. Without touching, without contact, charges have been induced here. Yes or no? So this phenomenon of charging is nothing but you call it as electrostatic induction. Is it clear? So all these things you should know. Suppose now this is a sphere. If it is going to be any arbitrary shape conductor, what happens? The distribution of charges, definitely that also can be charged, but the distribution of charges will not be uniform. Why it will not be uniform, we'll be learning later on. Okay, this is a sphere, so the charges are uniformly distributed. Suppose if the surface is not going to be a uniform surface like this, then also you can have charges, but it is not uniformly distributed. So this concept is nothing but electrostatic induction. Okay, now after this topic there is an example discussed there, children. 1.19. Today's homework is, I want you to go through that example. Now this example is based on the topics on projectile motion. You remember 11th standard you read about projectile. So based on that we are going to involve the formulas for time of flight, maximum height, range. So revise those topics and go through the problem. It is a very easy problem. Only thing is here and there you have some explanation for the concept. So please, you can understand it is all based on the topic of projectile. So go through the worked out problem, work it out in your notebook, and if you have any doubts, please get it clarified. I'll just clarify your doubts, no problem. You will be able to understand the problem very easily. If not, I will explain you. Just tell me in the group, I will teach you that. Okay. So with this, we are moving on to the next topic called dielectrics. Okay, dielectric. What is a dielectric? Now, dielectrics are nothing but non-conducting substances. Non-conducting substances, let me write here. Dielectric. They are nothing but non-conducting substances, or otherwise you can also call them as insulators, non-conducting substances, or you can also called as insulators, right? Now dielectrics has no free electrons. As I told you yesterday, dielectrics, as far as dielectrics are concerned, the electrons are very tightly bound. They are not free to move in a dielectric. They are called as bounded electrons, right? So this is a condition of dielectric. But what can I do here is, suppose if I give an external electric field in a dielectric, the electrons are not to free, they will not be able to move, but they can be realigned in a specific direction. Realigned in the sense, there is a small possibility of the displacement of the electrons, and realignment takes place when an external field is um, given. So this property of dielectric is used in different places, especially in the capacitor. That is why I introduced what is called as dielectric. So what is a dielectric? It is a non-conducting material which has got no free electrons. Now the electrons are tightly bounded, and the electrons are called as bound electrons. Examples of dielectrics are, you can take ebonite, then air, glass, mica. All these are examples of dielectric. Okay. Now this dielectric is made up of either polar molecules or non-polar molecules. So we are going to talk about what is a non-polar molecule and what is a polar molecule. Okay, because all these are the basics for the capacitor. So this is also a 3-mark question, children. We are going to differentiate about what is a polar molecule and what is a non-polar molecule, and how do they behave when it is kept in an electric field. Okay ma? So non-polar molecules. Now non-polar molecules are those molecules where the center of the negative charges coincide with the center of positive charges. I don't know whether you remember, we discussed an example based on this when I was teaching you dipole moment. Now dipole is equal and opposite charges separated by a distance. You call it as a dipole, and we measured the dipole moment to be P is equal to Q into 2A. When I was teaching you that concept, I was talking about this center of negative charge, center of positive charge. I explained you with a diagram of water molecule, which is a polar molecule. Now here we talk about non-polar molecule, where in a non-polar molecule, the center of negative charge and positive charge, they coincide with each other. Look at this diagram, the first diagram. Now here we have, suppose for example, let us take hydrogen molecule. Now examples of this non-polar molecules are hydrogen, oxygen. Now whenever we talk about these molecules, now the center of positive charges and the center of negative charges, they coincide. They don't have any distance of separation between them. They coincide. All are together here. See, they coincide each other. So in this case, what happens? Now it is coinciding here. It is coinciding here. Now when I give an electric field, what happens? Okay, so it is a non-polar molecule in which the center of positive and negative charges coincide. Now when they are together like this, you don't see to be there is a distance that is separating them. So which means they do not have a dipole moment, correct? What is dipole moment? Dipole moment formula, you remember, P is equal to 2AQ. 2A is the distance between minus Q and plus Q. Now here look at this, plus and minus are together. So there is no distance between them, and we can say that there is no dipole moment at this condition. for a non-polar molecule. But look at here, children. Now what I have done? Now I have given an electric field, right? Look at the diagram. There is an electric field that is given. Now when an electric field is given, what is happening to this? Now the minus and plus, there is a small realignment of this, which induces a dipole moment. Now here the minus and the plus are separated. Yes or no? There is a small distance that separates between these charges due to the application of due to the electric field that is applied over here. Yes or no? So this is realigned here. There is a small realignment of the positive and negative charges here, which induces a dipole moment. Now here it is P. Now here there is no P here. Yes or no? So now here there is a dipole moment that is induced. Now this can be done when you give an external electric field. So this is about non-polar molecule. Now examples of non-polar molecules are H2O2, all those things. I mean, all these molecules are examples of non-polar molecules. Okay, right. Now this is nothing but the non-polar molecules are polarized. I'll tell you what is polarization. Now in the direction of electric field, the dipole moment is induced. Minus, dipole moment. The direction of dipole moment is minus to plus. The direction of induced dipole moment and the direction of electric field will remain the same. So this is about non-polar molecule. Now look at this diagram. Now these are nothing but polar molecules. Polar molecules, you remember, I don't know whether you remember or not, I just showed you the diagram of a water molecule. Now this is a water molecule, H, and O. Now O is considered to have a negative charge and H considered to have a positive charge. Now here I have two H molecule. Now the center of this H molecule lies across this line, right? So this is the point. This is the center of the positive charges, which are considered to be the hydrogen, and this is a negative charge. So when I join these two, now this is negative, this is positive. So there is a distance of separation between them. I said this is a dipole, I said. So polar molecules have a permanent dipole moment, where the center of positive charges and the center of negative charges are separated. Now here this is the center of the negative charge, right? Now here it is positive charge, here it is positive charge, the center is here. So the center of positive charge and negative charge, they are separated by a distance, which means they are considered to have a permanent dipole moment. Now this is a condition for a dipole, right? Minus, plus, and they are separated by a distance. This is nothing but you call it as an electric dipole. When I was giving you the definition for electric dipole, I said water molecule is a electric dipole which has got permanent dipole moment. Okay. In non-polar molecules, they don't have permanent dipole moment. Dipole moment is induced by applying an external electric field. But here, they have a permanent dipole moment. But what is the drawback here is, look at this picture. Now here, they are permanent. Now here it is minus, plus, minus, plus, minus, plus. So these are all polar molecules. They have a permanent dipole moment. But how, look at the arrangement of these molecules here. They are randomly oriented. Here and there they are arranged. They are not restricted to a particular thing. They are all randomly oriented in the absence of electric field. So whether it is polar molecule or in non-polar molecule, I can induce a dipole moment. In polar molecule, already there is a dipole moment, but the molecules are arranged randomly. Now what I am going to do is, I am going to apply an electric field. When I apply an electric field, now the molecules which are the permanent electric dipoles, or they have a dipole moment, they arrange themselves. the direction due to, when an external electric field is applied, now the dipole moments or the electric dipoles, they try to align themselves in the direction of electric field. இங்க பாரு கண்ணா பின்னான்னு இருக்கீங்க, இந்த இடத்துல பாரு, it is trying to align itself in the direction of electric field. So in both the cases, whether it is non-polar molecule and polar molecule, in the presence of an electric field, in the case of non-polar molecules, an induced dipole moment can be created, whereas in polar molecules already there is an electric dipole moment that gets aligned itself in the direction of electric field. Now examples of polar molecules are water molecule. Water is a example for polar molecules. Then HCl, NH3, all these are examples for polar molecules. Okay, so when you apply an external electric field, the dipole inside the polar molecule, it tries to align itself in the direction of electric field, which creates a net dipole moment. Is it clear? Is it clear? So this is about polar molecules and non-polar molecules. Now I am going to define what is called as polarization. So what is polarization? Now polarization is defined as the total dipole moment per unit volume of the dielectric is nothing but, you call it as polarization. Polarization, it is represented. Now this is proportional to the electric field that is applied. Okay, so the polarization is directly proportional to the electric field that is, it depends upon the strength of the electric field that is given. So P proportional to E, I replace this proportionality by a constant called psi of E. Yes, psi of E in your textbook. So I also write the same psi of E, which is nothing but, you call that as the electric susceptibility. So what is this psi of E? Let me write here. Psi of E is nothing but, you call it as electric susceptibility. Okay, so this is nothing but polarization, and this susceptibility is characteristic of the dielectric that is used. Okay, now I am going to introduce a very important concept called what happens when you apply an electric field. I said the dielectric will try to align itself in the direction of electric field. But before we move on to that, in the case of conductor, what happens? Now I wanted you to recall the first property what we read yesterday. The first property what we read yesterday is the net electric field inside a conductor is zero in a conductor. Now here we are talking about dielectric, which is considered to be an insulator. I am talking about conductor. Now in a conductor, when you apply an external electric field, now the charges that are there in the conductor, they try to realign in the direction of electric field. If the direction of electric field is from left to right, as soon as the electric field is given to the conductor, the electrons in the conductor, they try to move in the opposite direction. And yesterday we read that it produces an induced electric field, and the net electric field inside a conductor is said to be zero. That is the first topic we read yesterday. So this is with respect to the conductor. So the net electric field, the external electric field and the induced electric field, the effect gets cancelled, and inside a conductor we found that the electric field is zero. Now let us take the case of dielectric, or in the case of an insulator, what is happening? Now as far as dielectric is concerned, as I said you, there are no free electrons. The electrons are bounded, they cannot move freely, right? So this, since it has not got any free electrons, when you apply an external electric field, now this external electric field realigns the charges. Now here the charges are realigned. I said there is a small displacement that is taking place, and the electric field is produced, an internal electric field is produced due to the realignment of the charges inside. But this induced electric field is smaller than the value of the external electric field. The magnitude, when we talk about the value of the internal electric field that is produced, it is smaller than the value of the external electric field. So you cannot say that the net electric field inside a dielectric is zero. No, it is not zero. It has got some value which is lesser than the value of the external electric field. Clear? Now let us consider, I have considered here a rectangular slab, rectangular dielectric slab which is kept in the oppositely charged plates. Now here it is a plate which is positively charged, here it is negatively charged. There is an electric field. Okay, it is outside. Electric field is from left to right, positive to negative. Okay, now this electric field, what does it do? It polarizes the dielectric which is placed between the plates. Now the dielectric which is there in between the plates, they get polarized due to this electric field. Yes or no? This only we read now. Now what happens? Now this will induce a positive charge on one surface and this will induce a negative charge on the here. Now see here, now here you have negative charges induced to one surface. Here you have positive charges induced on the other surface. And what happens here? Now here the positive charge of the dipole is very near to the negative charge of the next dipole. Yes or no? So here the charges get nullified and here also the charges get nullified. Here also the charges get nullified. Here it is nullified. See here, plus and minus. Here plus and minus. So all these charges, because all these dipoles are very nearly kept. So this is very near to this. This is very near to this. So all these positive and negative charges, they get nullified. They get nullified here and it creates a surface which is made up of negative charges on one side. Here it is positive charges on the other side. So the positive charges are induced on one side of the surface and the negative charges are induced on the other side. Is it clear? So the dielectric in the external field is equivalent to, I can also say this as oppositely charged sheets with, what is the surface charge density? Now here it is plus sigma. Now because it is created with positive charge, it has got a surface charge density plus sigma, and here you have minus sigma. Are you able to see this? Now here it is plus sigma and here it is minus sigma. So it is, so these charges are created by the bound charges. These are nothing but bound charges and they are not free to move like how electrons are moving in a conductor. So which is explained in this diagram. Now all these charges gets nullified and here the net charge will be 0 and you have a surface which is completely made up of positive charges and here negative charges. Okay, now these are created by the bound electrons that are there in the dielectric. So it produces an induced electric field. Now here the induced electric field is in the direction like this, because here it is positive side, here it is negative side. So E induced, which will have value lesser than the value of the external electric field. Is it clear, children? Right? So now so there is one more concept that is explained there based on this rubbing of a balloon. Rubbing of a balloon and why the balloon sticks on to the wall. It is there in your textbook with a diagram. I want you to go through that, and there is a small topic based on dielectric strength. What is a dielectric strength? The definition is given there. Whenever you apply an external electric field, now that external electric field makes the atoms come out so that the bound charges become free charges, right? So the dielectric, then it starts conducting. Okay, actually as far as a dielectric concerned, electrons are bounded, but when an external electric field is given, the bound electrons are free to move, which conducts electricity, which is called as dielectric breakdown. Now there are some substances whose dielectric breakdown value is given. I want you to go through the tabular column, then read in detail about that. Tomorrow we'll be starting with capacitors. Okay, ma? See you tomorrow.